And welcome to the Fourth and Goal Show. It's week number 7 of the high school football season. How are you? I'm Rick Watson. No Jermaine Farrell this week. He was busy down at the ACC basketball media days this week, so we'll resume with Jermaine in week number 8. But we hope everybody's doing well, as it's hard to believe we're talking about week 7 already of high school football. But here we are. Here we are. It is just absolutely steamrolling through. And we're going to look back at last week, and we're going to take a look, obviously, at the games this week. But also, we're going to look at some of the point standings and things of that nature, get people updated on where your favorite team may be coming up here in 2025 as we get closer and closer to the playoff schedule. But looking back at week number 6, last Friday, it was the first Friday in October for high school football, which means the air is really starting to turn. It feels great. Smells great. I got home from a function and had a ball game. Actually, I was calling. Auburn had a home game. Or actually, they were on the road, but they were letting Eastmont play in the stadium because there was something going on with the Eastmont stadium. So it's very nice that you have that kind of neighborly consideration amongst the schools. And I get home from my volleyball broadcast down at Radford University as the voice of the Highlanders. And I get home, and as soon as I get out, you feel that little breeze, you hear the PA, and you can smell the concession stand. It just hit me perfectly. And I'm thinking, I'm so happy where I live here to where I get a high school football game from time to time, and I can hear it, soak it up, hopefully be able to start going to it when the schedule works here before the end of the season. But in any event, and I know many of you feel and share that same excitement. Looking back at last week, week number 6, some big results. Of course, Patrick Henry remains undefeated. The Patriots destroyed Salem 49-7. Salem now 1-5 on the year. Blows my mind the kind of season Salem's having. But yet, they still should get quite a few, or could get quite a few River Ridge District victories. We'll go over all that a little bit later on. Radford Bobcats having a good season under Coach Chris, but Randall Buzzsaw, the William Byrd Terriers are really good. Been a while since those two programs have played, and William Byrd got the better of Radford by a score of 35-7. There'll be better days ahead for the Bobcats. Watch out for William Byrd. They are a very sneaky state title contender in their division. The people down there, though, in Vinton don't think it's sneaky. They know they're good, and they are. They really are. Glenford continues to be a juggernaut. They steamed by Carroll County 44-19. And Coach Kevin Clifford, he's going on 20 years there as the head coach at Glenford. And it has just been year in and year out what he's been able to do. Outstanding stuff. Congratulations to him. Bluefield knocked off George Wythe 40-21. So the Beavers knock off the Maroons. Christiansburg knocked off my alma mater. I guess it's a bit of an upset. They were winless going in, Christiansburg. Pulaski County fell 34-31 on a last-second field goal. Congratulations to the Blue Demons. That's a team that even though they had not had success in the win-loss column, they've been getting better and better. And that's what you strive to be once you get into district play. William Fleming fell to GW Danville. Fleming's 2 losses, Patrick Henry and now GW Danville. 27-16 was the final score. Floyd County Buffaloes having a great year. We're so happy for Tim Cromer, the head coach there. I've known Tim for years when he was assistant at Radford. Of course, the head coach at Christiansburg, then the AD. Terrific guy, and he's now the head coach at Floyd County. Trying to replace a legend like Winfred Beal is impossible, right? But Tim's got the great mindset. He, of course, was tutored by Coach Teal. He knows all about Coach Teal and the way that he ran that program. It's a great fit. They're my Route 8 neighbors here in Reiner going to Floyd, and I'm very happy to see Floyd having a terrific year. Cave Spring edges out Blacksburg 15-12. Blacksburg's had 2 tough losses, right? They've lost to Salem and now Cave Spring by a total of 5 points. The Bruins have bounced back, and maybe this is going to start their ascension once again after several down years recently. And right here in my own backyard, even though it was played across Pearisburg Mountain down in the Sparty, Auburn, who's been having a great year, went to Giles, and they found out that that single wing is pretty strong, huh? Giles They're for real. 59-27. The Radford, the Auburn offense scoring points. They're doing that basically every week. But it's tough to keep up with Giles on the defensive end, and they found that out. Eastmont, again, they played here in Auburn Stadium in Ryder. Knocked off Bland 50-12. They may want to play there a little longer. Speaking of a juggernaut, Craig County, 54-0 over Stonewall Jackson. Good Jeremy Amor on, of course, with the great book about Giles football. And he's part of that staff. And I just remember doing this show for many years in Craig County. Either they barely had enough players or they couldn't play games. We're seeing that with certain programs now, Galax being the latest. You hate to hear it. And they were struggling. They just had a population that was down, so they didn't have kids coming through their school system and playing football. They were patient. They built up the lower levels, which is what Auburn did here. We lost 2 seasons here at Auburn, and now you look at the success they're having. Craig County, it's a great story. The Rockets, I mean, they are just lifting off each and every Friday. Matter of fact, when we go over these regional power standings, you're going to be pretty impressed to see where Craig County lines up. Where else here? James River and Martinsville. What a game. 35-34. Now that's fun, right? A 1-point football game. And those are the kind of things that you look at and you just go, okay, all right, well, knowing that high school football can have that kind of competitiveness, that's what's always made it great here in Southwest Virginia. What a fun game that was. James River is coming off a tough loss against Radford the week before. They're a good football team. Now, they're going to be in the postseason. And then Northside continues to have a terrific season. They beat Rappahannock 18-7. So we see some programs throughout the New River and Roanoke Valleys kind of having, rejuvenized success. And it's great to see because these are programs that, I played up here at Pulaski County, whether you played and you went against these squads. And it's good to see them having success. It's good stuff all the way around when teams are winning, and it's exciting when programs have persevered, easy for me to say, through some tough times. But Northside's a program that has been traditionally very, very good. Jim Hickam, my goodness gracious. He and Coach Hicks were such dear friends, competitors, but such dear, dear friends. And to see them coming back in recent years, I know they have a state title. They had a national player, Justin London, a few years ago that went to UCLA. These are outstanding players that they've had, and they have a lot of talent down there, and they've always had talent down there. But I'm glad to see Northside. That's a program that I know a lot of the people down there at that school, and it makes me happy to see them having success. So that rounds out week number 6, looking back at it. But we'll get into week number 7 and some of the best games. But I want to go through some of the points ratings because it is coming down now to the latter fourth of the season. We're in the fourth quarter of the high school football season, which is very difficult to believe. So we're going to run these down, and I want to, first of all, give Rodney Young credit, rodneysportsnow.com. He does a great job of keeping the standings. He does a great job of updating the point standings heading into the next Friday. So these are coming directly from Rodney's site. He's a terrific writer as well, covering high school football, primarily the Bobcats for the Patriot. And I can't say enough, by the way, for the job that Mike Williams and the Patriot does, dedicating themselves to high school football coverage. Troy Sarver as well, writing, keeping up with Pulaski County. It's a strong tradition of that paper that the Southwest Times did for years. And, of course, our dear departed friend and colleague, Dan Callahan, who, without question, is still to me this day high school football personified here in Southwest Virginia. So what Rodney and Mike are doing, and Troy and all the people up there, kudos to you. It's so important to the community. It really is, not just here in the New River Valley, throughout Southwest Virginia, as you get more toward the border, down in Roanoke County, Lynchburg. There's nothing like Friday night high school football. And I don't think there's anything that envelops the personality of a community more than Friday night home games. And what they're doing for Mike Williams and the Patriot and what all these folks like Rodney are doing, outstanding. Kudos. So here we go. Let's just give you a rundown here. Listen for your favorite team as we run through this. We're going to start out Class 2, Region C, and Region D points, all right? The top 8 in Class C make the playoffs. We're going to start out with C. Glenvar, of course, is number 1. They're at 23.0. Gretna, though, the Hawks, having another terrific season at 22 points. I mentioned Floyd County, Tim Cromer. They're in third in a good spot, 21.6. And then you get down to James River. Even though Radford beat them, James River right now just ahead, 18.33. Then the Bobcats at 18 even. Then you have Nelson County, Appomattox, Dan River. That would be your cutoff in the top 8. And again, that is Class 2 Region C. Looking at Class 2 Region D, top 8 make the playoffs. Now, again, this is a little further southwest of us, but just long time powerful programs. Gate City is number 1, just 0.2 of a point ahead of Lebanon, Ridgeview, Union High School. Now, that used to be the old Powell Valley. They had a little conversion there where you had the adjoining of a couple of schools. Virginia High, Richlands, the Graham G-Men, number 7, and Lee High School, number 8. Your Class 1 Region C points ratings. All right, this is Class 1. Top 8 make the playoffs. Remember what I mentioned a moment ago about Craig County. We have quite a few Class 1 Region C programs here in the NRV in Southwest Virginia, so this is one that a lot of people pay a lot of attention to. There's Craig County, 19.20 points. Just ahead of Giles, who's at 19 even. So Giles is number 2 behind Craig County. Then Grayson County at 15.6. So there's a bit of a drop-off there. After the Rockets and the Spartans, then the Blue Devils show up. The Fighting Blues of Perry McClure, traditionally strong program up in Buena Vista, 15.5 points. Bath County sits there at number 5 with 15 points. The George Wythe Maroons, 14.836. Remember, the top 8 make the playoffs. And this one's just going to put a smile on my face because there are the Auburn Eagles, my Auburn Eagles, my adopted team here in Reiner. 14.20. They're in 7th. Now, you would think that's precarious, and it kind of is, but not really, because Narrows is number 8, 12.40. And then you have Galax, 9th. So there's a large gap, plenty of room there for Auburn. Eastmont, Bland, Fort Chiswell on the outside looking in Class 1 Region C heading into this week. Of course, all this can fluctuate and change as the points are tabulated. And by the way, I'm not going to sit around and try to make anyone understand the whole VHSL points tabulation system because I don't. It is what it is. It's what they use. It's what this formula is what they're happy with. Good luck. Good luck trying to decipher it. And then you have Class 1 Region D and some folks here in the area that may be interested. Chilhowie's number 2. Again, this is more southwestern away from us. Northwood is number 4. Rye Cove is number 3, actually. Then you have Twin Springs, Holston, Honaker, Rural Retreat. East Side, Chilhowie, Rye Cove. That's your top 3 in Class 1 Region D. But if you look right now, going to be a lot of people busy in November potentially, right? Here locally, just looking at Class 1 Region C with Craig, Giles, Grayson, Perry McClure, George Wythe, Auburn, Narrows, all right there within the region. I mean, and that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So that's just some of the points that I want everybody to kind of get familiar with and look at, and we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Looking at some of the districts here in terms of their standings and what is going to be obviously something that they go on, but at the same time, the points is what's going to put you in the playoffs or not. In the River Ridge, there's Patrick Henry, 6-0. Pulaski County, this is a league that's really down this year. Pulaski County actually at 2-3. That's why they're looking okay in the playoffs. They're in second. There's no team that has a winning record in the River Ridge after Patrick Henry. Pulaski County's 2-3. Blacksburg's 2-4. Cave Springs 2-4. Christiansburg's 1-4. There's Salem at 1-5. Hidden Valley 0-5. I mean, you can't make it up. You cannot make it up. It's not a good league this year. We've never seen the River Ridge this down before. Then you go to the Three Rivers, which is an excellent, excellent league. Floyd County, undefeated, 5-0. There's Glenver at 6-0. Carroll County's 4-2. James River's 4-2. Radford's 3-2. They play Patrick County tonight at 2-4, and then you have Martinsville. That league is extremely deep, and everyone in that league is playing pretty darn well. In the Hogaheji, Chilhowie, Northwood, Holston, Rural Retreat, Honaker, and Patrick Henry Glaive Spring. In the Hogo, another really, really good league, and I mentioned them a moment ago. In the Mountain Empire District, a lot of those teams I just talked about in the playoffs. Here we go. Giles at 5-1. Auburn's 4-2. Then you have George Wythe, Grayson County. George Wythe, the Maroons are 3-3. Grayson's 2-3. And then you have Bland 1-5. Galax, who's had to forfeit several games because they just don't have enough healthy bodies, sitting there at 0-5. And you really feel for them, and you hate what they are dealing with in their league. So just a terrific, terrific representation as you look around, and you got the Southwest League as well, which we'll mention because we hear a lot of people. And, you know, we have Zach Helton-Lawn, a Richlands guy, Lebanon 6-0, Virginia High having an outstanding year, 6-1. Then you have Richlands 3-3, the G-Men of Graham 2-3, Marion and Tazewell each looking for their first wins of the season. So there you have it with the standings of the districts that are of local and regional interest. And now we set the stage for this Friday night in October, week number 7. EC Glass and Liberty Christian. LCA had their hiccup when they went to Ironton, Ohio, go across the big metal bridge going in out of West Virginia and Ohio, took on a very good Ironton team, lost. They haven't looked back since. Salem and Cave Spring, two teams that we just went over the record. They're struggling mightily in the River Ridge. Nothing's a guarantee. You would think Salem would win. Who knows? Who knows? We shall see. Brookville and Heritage. You talk about tough leagues. Such a great matchup. Mark Lindenberg, the head coach at Brookville, who I know very well, and they've been playing pretty consistently over the last month or so. Lord Botetourt takes on Franklin County. I mentioned down here at Bobcat Stadium, Norman Lindenberg Field, Patrick County, the Cougars, not Pulaski County, Patrick County Cougars taking on the Bobcats. And at home, Bobcats are going to be tough. I expect them to get the dub there. Christiansburg coming off their first win of the year. You don't envy this trip. They have to head down to Roanoke, playing on the fast turf. Of course, Christiansburg plays on turf as well. But that's an undefeated state-ranked team, Patrick Henry. It'll be better days after this game tonight between Christiansburg and PH for the Blue Demons. Floyd County, you would think they can go on the road. Martinsville's not having a good season and get an important district victory there. Glenver, the juggernaut. James River is a very tricky team. They're very difficult. Hard to go against Glenver, really, in any matchup. The way they're playing. All three elements of the game, Glenver is well disciplined. They're very good on special teams, which doesn't get nearly as enough love in high school football. Bassett and GW Danville, another terrific game right out of our immediate region here. There it is, a great rivalry. George Wythe and Grayson County. We just gave you the standings of that league. That's a huge game. Fort Chiswell trying to get a win against Galax. You know, Galax, again, it looks like I haven't heard. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I have not heard of any interruption in that game tonight because Galax doesn't have players. So I'm hoping that that game will go off. If that changes, my apologies to everybody involved, but I have not heard as of recording this show that Galax would be unable to play. Brookville and Heritage, another terrific game. Magna Vista's having another great year. They go to Mecklenburg County, Amherst, and Jefferson Forest. Oh, my goodness, the Lancers and the Cavaliers. You talk about just a terrific rivalry. My beloved Pulaski County Cougars, my alma mater, takes on the Graham G-Men. Now, Graham hasn't had the season they usually have, but you feel like they're going to get better and better here over the final month of the season. So we'll see what happens at Joel Hicks Field tonight. And rounding out some of the games here of interest, Perry McClure and Narrows, Chatham and Alta Vista, Hidden Valley and Blacksburg, winless Hidden Valley. The Bruins should get back on the winning track. I think Auburn keeps it rolling. They have to travel to Northwood. Bland's got Meadowbridge, West Virginia. Probably be a tough night for the Bears. Eastmont and Craig County. Again, Craig County's an absolute juggernaut. They're not allowing points, and they're scoring in the 40s and 50s every week. That's a state title contender right there. William Byrd and Northside. Just talked about the Vikings. I'm glad to see them having success. But William Byrd, they might be in a different weight class right now. Terriers are really, really good. And Pendleton County, West Virginia, takes on Bath County. So there you have it. We just kind of went through and gave you a review of last week, previewed this week. And it was important, I thought, to update you on some of the point standings. Of course, we don't have Jermaine here this week. So just trying to get you as much information as possible. I still think from what everybody's telling me, the attendance is up across the board. People are still valuing Friday nights. I know I value Friday nights. We talk about a lot on BDST. And look, I understand I'm not being a dinosaur and get off my lawn. I get why college football has to be played on Friday. It's the second most watched entity on television of any sports in this country, second only to the NFL. So they have to find their advertising rates and the days that work. I hate that it takes up high school football time, but it is what it is. High school football is always going to have its place. We're not ever going to, sit there and replace it with anything. It's just, it has to kind of coexist, and you have to make a decision on whether you're going to stay at home or are you going to go to your high school game and then watch the rest of the game that's on TV when you get home, right? That's the way I look at it. So high school football is always going to have its place. And I know that growing up with that massive appreciation of it here in Southwest Virginia, it's continued throughout generations. Don't forget, if you miss any of the games, go to WFXR, Jermaine and his crew, the Friday Night Blitz. They'll have all your scores. They'll have highlights from all over the region. It's a great way to get caught up. And if you miss it during the televised broadcast, a lot of times they are pushed back because they have a game on. You can find it online. Just go to the WFXR site. That's how I usually watch it, especially now that I'm a YouTuber. That's how I usually go back and watch it, is stream it, because I can never really catch it at the time that it's on anyway. But it has really kind of replaced Friday Football Extra. It has. I hate to see the demise of the coverage that's going on at those other two local stations down in Roanoke, but they've picked up the slack at WFXR. So, in any event, I appreciate everybody who watched, and I enjoyed talking football, high school football. Kudos to all the programs that are having terrific seasons. Let's hope that teams can stay healthy, and let's hope we have a lot of representation. It looks like it, just reading those standings, we're going to have a lot of representation come playoff time here in a matter of a month or so. So that's exciting to me. It just shows you that we have good coaches and the participation numbers are up. And I hope that they can get that consistently going at a place like Galax. Look, we feel for you. This is a state-winning program. This is a program that knows all about winning and having success. They're just going through the downtime, just like Craig County, who's number one in the state, just like Auburn, who's going after already a winning season tonight. Great stories, the perseverance of people who have the right mindset, wanting to help young people and parents, and the support of the community. It's what it's all about. So have fun at the ballpark tonight. Grab your hot dog. Make it 2 hot dogs. Might want to bundle up a little bit. It's going to be chilly. But enjoy the games, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. It'll be week number 8 of the 2025 high school football season right here on the Fourth and Goal Show. We'll see you then, everybody. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the game. So long.